right now, so anything you say is on the record.
That's right. That's rule number one. People better learn is that there's always a camera somewhere. So you better know what you're going to say.
I do my best to be transparent.
Right.
I just do my best. You ready to roll?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Welcome to the HSA podcast. This right here is Coach Travis, and I have him on. The purpose of this podcast is to give, if you listen to all the episodes, you should be a well-rounded coach, parent, player. And so I have NBA coaches coming on. I have NBA players coming on. I have middle school players on. I had a high school girl. And now this is a perspective that I'm interested in because we're going to introduce you, and I'm going to let you talk about you, which I want you to do. But then we're really going to dig into, because you're an active parent going through the battle right now.
Yeah.
You had a son, and then you decided to step into the AAU scene. And I just love your professionalism, how you're handling it. But real quick, let's step back and just tell us who you are. Tell us where you were born, your playing career, and how you got here.
Yeah, so my name is Travis Brown. I am the husband to Bree Brown, who's a Warren Central School administrator. I have 3 kids. I have a big 23 off in the world doing her thing, and then I have a 12-year-old who ended her basketball career after about 4th grade from me coaching her. I was devastated. And then I have a son who is 10 in the 4th grade, and we'll talk a little about his journey. I'm from Lafayette. Played at McCutcheon High School back when we were really good back then. No class system back then. And we lost in a semi-state 2 years in a row. Lost to a Bryce Drew team back in 1994.
Really?
And they were really good. And played in Mackey Arena, semi-states, basketball. But I was really a football guy. I mean, I played all 3 sports. I'm McCutcheon High School, 12 varsity letters, baseball, basketball, football. I went on to play college football at Illinois State and a year at Purdue. Thought I was actually going to go play baseball and decided not to. Like most kids in Indiana, the dream was to play basketball. And I got kind of derailed at some point in time. But I loved my high school experience. Kind of wish I would have played college basketball. And then took a backseat for many years. And now I find myself coaching the 2034 Hoosier Phenoms, which is a national team. We play all across the country, some of the best players in the country, and trying to figure out how to be a dad, trainer, coach, to not only my son, but a lot of other kids that kind of need some of that development.
Yeah. And you said something, and I'm going to derail the conversation a little bit. I want to talk about your daughter.
Yeah.
How did you handle that conversation? What were your thoughts? Like, how did it come to be that you were like, this just isn't it?
She was pretty good at 3rd grade level. We played a school team, and then we played for Indiana Elite, our first AAU season locally. We didn't travel at that time. And she enjoyed it. But she got hurt, an ankle, then a foot and a wrist. And like, she just had those battles. And so it was kind of like, I'm just kind of good with this. And, my wife and I have always told our kids, I don't really care what sport. And it could be guard, dance, band, choir. But we want them to find something they're passionate about and something that they're willing to sacrifice and really work to develop and go, this is something that I really want to do. And so my hope was that was going to be basketball. And I was loving learning basketball, coaching it. And then she did come back, and a couple years later played one more little half season at Showtime. But then she was like, no, this is not my thing. Luckily for her, she's found it in the dance world. So she's on the middle school dance team, absolutely loves it, and is so committed to it. We'll go to a 7-hour practice and just love it. And I think, Paul, that's what you want for your kids, is to just find something. Because when you've experienced that as an athlete, you want them to experience not what your experience was, but just the love of the team, the game, the competition, like all of that. And so I'm happy that she's found that.
That's beautiful, because I'm going to open up and I'm going to say some stuff I probably shouldn't. As a trainer, one of the things that I love is when a kid loves to be there.
Yeah.
And it's a genuine, beautiful relationship that we have. And, the ones that I hate and I despise, I see them come in, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want this, is when the kid doesn't want to be there.
Fair.
And everyone asks me, how do I get my kid good at basketball? And I have an 8-year-old, so don't get me wrong. I stand like I'm up here. I kind of got to live my talk a little bit, because, secretly I want my kids to play basketball. But like, at the end of the day, like, if they don't, I have to, I don't want to be the dad that drops their kid off and have the guy go like, oh my God. Like,
why is he here?
Yes, he hates it.
He hates it. He has no chance of being good.
Yeah, like, why do we keep doing this? So the fact that you were mature enough, smart enough to just be like, okay, you're not just sitting all day eating bonbons and playing your iPad. You're doing something. And then shifting gears from that though to your son.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your son and how that happened.
Yeah. So it's funny because when my daughter was playing, and they're 3 grades apart, 2.5 years, 3 grades apart. When she was playing, like, he had zero interest. He was little, didn't really want to go to the court, didn't want to hang around. And I was like, whoa, dude, like, this is basketball. Like, hang around, just be around your sister. And who's playing? A couple years later, it was started to get a little bit different for him. But he played the little kiddie ball and 9-foot rims and all those kind of things. And it was just kind of fun, but it didn't matter to him.
Yeah.
And then I think about 1.5 years ago, he started going, I kind of want to play. And we kind of had this rule, like, you have, and I recommend this for all parents. Here's what I've told him. You have a couple options. One, you can play like mud socks type rec if you're in whatever that is, like where they can travel and maybe they don't even keep score. Nobody really cares who wins. And like, if you do that, you can just go to the 1 practice a week. Mom and dad will show up with our coffees on Saturday, watch the game, no smoke. And if you want that, we're okay with that. 2 is you can play at a local travel level. And if you want to do that, you're going to practice twice a week. You're probably going to have to do some type of little camp or some type of development. And if you want to do that, that's cool. I can coach that, for if you want to or not. But that's going to take a little bit more work. And where my son is he was doing some of that, and then he decided he wanted to play at a higher level. And I said, but if you take the third option, which is you want to compete on a national level with the best players in the country, you don't have the same choices anymore. And I'm just telling parents this, like, unless your kid is a 1%er and they just got it, which mine doesn't have that, like, they're going to have to train. And I said, and so now we're talking about the shooting, we're talking about agility, we're talking about, getting reps in. Like, you're going to have to go 4 or 5 days a week if you want to play at that level.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you tell me you want to play at that level, my job as dad is to help you get there. And so now we have a different choice. And so he chose that, and we've had some tough battles over time with, do I want it? Do I really want it? And I have a philosophy on that too. But I think that was kind of the first thing, was trying to figure out what level your kid says they want to play at, and then trying to help them accordingly.
What age did you start to give your son, I don't want to say the respect, but the maturity of, okay, now, I mean, I have every kid that sits in here and says, I want to be in the NBA. Every kid sits here.
Every kid.
And then I put them through an NBA workout, and they're like, I don't want that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Then you don't want to be in the NBA. Right. But like, was it 8, 7, 6, or still?
Yeah, so it really was about 1 year ago when I found out that David Hamilton, who runs the Hoosier Phenoms, had asked me to coach the 2034s. And really I was going, I don't know if my son is good enough.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of guy, like, if my son's not good enough, you're going to have to sit and watch, dude. Like, you don't get a free meal because dad's coach. And that's hard, right? Because he had to decide. So we had to have a serious sit down as a family. This wasn't just me, it was my wife, my other daughter as well. And go, if you're going to go play on the Hoosier Phenoms, we're going to go play on all these national tournaments. We just came from, realizing that it takes more. And then in that November, we went to T3, which is a little All-American exposure camp, whatever. And you can say what you want about them, but there's all this competition, and you went, whoa, this is a different level. So we had that, started in July. We started talking about Phenoms. And then November was kind of the kicker of last year. He's 9. And I said, we have to fix ball handling. We have to be able to play defense. You have to be able to make layups. That was the key at the time, right?
Yeah.
And so it became like, here's a training regiment that you have to go on it. And it's going to require personals. It's going to require some group. It's going to require you and I to go spend time in the gym, which is probably a place to unpack, because him and I don't train well together. I coach him well, but we don't train well together.
And that is so mature of you to understand. That is so mature of a dad.
Well, a good friend of mine said, hey, you got to make some choices. You can't be dad, coach, and trainer. And here's the thing. Here's what he said, though. This is a trainer that told me this. He said, you can be 2 of the 3, but you can't be 3 of the 3. So you're automatically dad.
Automatically.
So you got to pick. Are you going to coach or are you going to train?
How many people are coming here that sacrifice dad? Ooh. That would sacrifice dad to be the trainer and the coach?
You can't, though. Like, you're just like, I mean, I think, when you're a coach and you have a coach, you're going to sacrifice so much anyway. And I say that you can't train, meaning you're not going to get the most out of your kid if you're the trainer, in my opinion, my experience. Now,
Yeah.
you can take your kid and you can do stuff, and I still do quote unquote train Braden, but I'm not I can't be his main trainer.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's too many arguments, too many fights, and then we're spending too much time and we're battling. Now, also, you can't just go to trainer one day a week and think that's all it's going to work, right? And so there's this dichotomy around what are you going to be, and for me, I realized he responds well to me as coach in a team environment. He doesn't give me the crap. He doesn't give me all the pushback. We'll have some little every once in a while, but that's probably more because I checked into dad mode
Yeah.
and out of coach mode than probably anything. And so that was a really important lesson for me to learn.
This is, and God, I just hope parents are listening because you're saying such good, mature things. I'm going to tell you a personal story. And I've told it on this podcast before. It was the first time I ever coached my son. He was in 3 years old. He went in, goes, dunks the ball. It's a little 4-foot goal. And I was like, oh my God, he's the next LeBron. I'm like, calm down. But go ahead, keep saying it. No,
All right.
But like, I promised myself I would never rip my son. He screwed around and he got ripped by me. And in the car, I drove home and he's crying. I was like, oh my gosh, I made it my first game, my very first game. And I've been doing this 20 years and I'm like, I broke my own rule. But the fact that you were mature enough as a dad to sit there and say, because I can't tell you how many people sacrifice dad to be the coach,
Yep.
and they're doing it for the betterment of their kid. Or the other part is that you're also willing to sit on the sideline and go, okay, because I hear a lot of dads like, well, my son doesn't know how to take coaching. Well, what are you saying? And it's like, well, I said something personal about, something about the house. That's what a dad says.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're able to shift that gear real quick and go, okay, this is me.
And when you said something, I'm gonna give it one piece. There's about 2-3 pieces of advice that I just got to share today.
Absolutely, do it.
One of them is I used to teach this thing. I'm a past motivational speaker on a marketing agency, but I used to teach this across the country that to parents, right? And it's similar to what I just said. You can be the parent, the referee, you can be the coach, or you can be the player. Okay, that's number one. You go to a game environment, right?
Yep.
So that was number one. And the second thing I heard was most kids dread the car ride home. So I have painfully come up with 3 questions that I ask after every game.
I want to hear him.
And we get in the car. I don't care if I'm fuming, mad, it doesn't matter. I just ask, hey, number 1, what was your favorite part of the game? 2, what is something you wish you had done better? Right? And 3, I go, did you have fun? Now, there on occasions, there's a 4th question I ask, which is, hey, do you want to talk about anything else?
Yeah.
And most of the answer is no, because that's really coming when I'm frustrated and I'm trying to get permission to like jump down his throat about some stuff that happened in the game, right?
But you asked for permission.
But I'm committed to like not making the car ride home miserable.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I've had to learn also to do as coach is if there's something that I really got to address, I will pull him aside before we leave the gym, and I'll say, hey, this happened today. You can't do this. You got to do this. I need this. And we'll have that conversation. We'll dap it up. But once we get outside the door and into the car, I stick to my 3 rules, or my 3 questions, because that's not even for him. It's really more for me to prevent me from being a jerk or overbearing coach, dad, whatever, when a kid just played a game and he's 9 or 10 years old. And yeah, I'm mad about the turnovers. I'm mad about the he didn't drop in his coverage. I'm mad about the things that I think he should be doing. But I got to check into dad and show my kid that oh gosh, I'm kind of get choked up on this one. My love for you is not rooted in basketball.
Oh my gosh.
My love for you.
Say that again. Hold on. Say that again. Say that again, man. Keep going.
My love for you is because you are my son and I love you. Whether you ever play basketball again, whether you scored 20, or it doesn't matter. Like, that's my love for you is because you're my son.
Absolutely.
And so that's something that's been really difficult for me to try to make sure, like, how do I create a boundary? Because we do so much basketball stuff.
Yeah.
So much. My wife's always like, your guys' lives revolve, and our lives revolve around basketball. And he's 10. And so I had to be clear, like I love you because here's what I learned when my daughter quit. The biggest challenge with my daughter not quitting, retiring.
Yeah.
At 10 was I lost the time with her. I lost the car rides to practice. I lost the watching the film. I lost all the going to the games that we would go to because she had such an interest. And I spent a lot of time asking my wife and asking my daughter, like, how do we replace that with non-basketball stuff? Because I'm struggling, because I'm missing that time. And so I'm trying to relish that with my son now and realizing the difference between this basketball moment and and I don't know how long it's going to last.
Yeah.
And trying to make sure that he understands that if you scored 30 tonight, I don't love you anymore, dude. Like, I don't. I may be frustrated because you had 6 turnovers, but I don't love you any less because either way. And so I think the car ride home is my attempt. I'm not perfect at it, but to try to just make that a safe zone.
It's interesting because we're up by 30. We're blowing this team out because I'm such a good coach. No,
Right.
The kids were working hard, but I don't know where this kid just one of our kids grabbed the ball and then shot a layup on the opposite goal, like just out of nowhere in the middle of the fourth quarter. And I middle named him. I was like, "What are you doing?" He looked at me and I saw the shoulders go down. I'm starting to cry, and I saw the tears. He looked at me, "Ooh," and I'm like, "Okay." And so I subbed real quick. I pulled him in. I got on my knee, and I was like, "Hey, bud, I messed up. Yes, I should have yelled at you, but I shouldn't have put the light on you that hard and that long. My bad." And he goes, "It's okay." And I'm like, "What do you want me to do to make it better?" He goes, "Put me back in." But as a coach, in my world, I'm the Mecca. Like, you can't tell me nothing. And you did something wrong. But then the humbleness that I had to eat real quick of like, okay, I did something wrong, and it's hard. It's hard to put that in, and we're not perfect.
I think the yelling thing is a long-term battle between my wife and I. I'm a very intense coach. I'm always like, most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, I'm really not yelling at the kid. I'm yelling because I'm in a gym that has 6 other courts and nobody else can hear me, and I'm yelling, stop the ball, get over here. Like, I'm projecting loud. Now, there are times when I get right there and I'm snapping. I'm like, you got to get there, you got to go there. But again, I'm trying to separate that. Like, I am not trying to demean a kid. I'm trying to get their attention to get them to go, do, or show up. And she's always challenging me going, yeah, and how well would that work if somebody just walked into one of your meetings and screamed at you like that? Like, you also have to understand their development, how they go to fight or flight. And that's the thing I haven't really learned as well as a coach, is to not react. I was telling her, I'm watching these NBA coaches sometimes, and there are some that aren't this way, like Rick Carlisle, but the rest of them are like just very, very little emotion, high or low. And that is not a place that works very well for me.
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to work through that, because ultimately we're trying to get the most out of our kids. I'm trying to make sure I'm not doing things that are hurting them. But it requires you to be on them sometimes. And unfortunately, like I told her, I'm like, well, if Braden hadn't picked up his bag that's in the middle of the floor, and I ask him nicely two times in a row and he still doesn't do it, if I say, Braden, get down there right now and pick up that bag, then he does it. Right? Now, that might be bad psychology, but at the end of the day, you're still trying to get kids to do things and prove that they have the skills and the ability to do them. And I'm still working on that as a coach, trying to figure out the best way to do that.
So the guy that mentored me was Ed Schilling, and he's the head coach at Pepperdine. But it's funny because a couple of my kids have trained with him at IU when he was the IU assistant. Mm-hmm. And the moms called me, the dads called me, hey, this guy ripped your style. I'm like, who was it? Ed Schilling. No, I ripped his style. But something that he influenced on me when I was a young coach, is he said the more you yell, the more you have to yell to get more attention. And so eventually you're just the guy that always yells.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because in my practices, I talk, I whisper, I do this. And then when I flip, and then when I raise my voice just one octave, and I'm just, guys, and they're like, oh, Paul's screaming. And I'm like, I barely raise my voice, because I do that on purpose, where I do my best to stay calm.
Yeah.
Because then the second I spike my voice 1 decimal, they're like, could you imagine if he peaked out? Like, they're like, yeah.
No, that's good. I definitely have to work on that as a coach, and have a lot to learn about coaching. But it's been a fun journey for sure.
Talking about the dad-son relationship that you have and the coach relationship. By the way, also, I'm going to take that question back. I'm sorry. I want to address something that you said about being the trainer. I don't necessarily you fall in the trainer, but I think that when you go to the gym, that you guys are working on what the trainer said to work on.
Correct.
Which would then put it back on the trainer's responsibility.
Yeah.
And I guess that'd be like doing homework. Like when I do homework with my son, I'm not the teacher. I'm helping with the homework. And so I think that you said, well, I'm training him, but I'm not, but I am. I think that's more of the homework assignment of, but I also think that that's a great time to bond with your child of doing that homework together. And so it's also giving him clarity, giving you clarity. But talk about being dad, being coach, and how you balance that.
So I think every dad that's coaching, that respects the game, you always have a sense that I need to be harder on my son, or expect more, demand more, which then creates kind of a false narrative and a tougher relationship. Now, there's a lot of truth to that because what we're all trying to avoid is, or not all, but some are trying to avoid is,
should be.
My kid is not on that court because he shares my last name. He's on the court because he deserves that time. And so there's some, at least for me, there's a little bit of concern that people are going to judge me and judge my kid, that the only reason why he's on that floor doing that thing is because of me. And so I want him to work hard to be the leader, to be the communicator, so that his teammates ultimately respect him enough and go, yes, you deserve to be here. And I think that's number one, what we're trying to accomplish. I think that I've set a back seat. So even our AAU national team, I use data analytics all year long to take every one of our games. We send it in, they break it down. But the one thing I was mostly looking for is I needed to have the eyes and line of sight to the actual numbers to justify why I was playing or why I was not playing him and the others. And there's a point in time we went the ball on the beach. And I think, in that tournament, he played pretty well, but probably still had the least minutes totally of everybody. And there are games that he could play really well in, but and this is the key. We were playing Atlanta Cavs, who, at the time we were ranked number 2 in the country. They're ranked number 4. They had cheated to beat us last time with a 5th grader, so there's a lot of smoke. We're at ball on the beach. The court is packed. All of our 31s, our 32s, our 33s, parents, everybody's there. It's a quarterfinals game.
It's intense.
It was intense, right? And he had like 3 turnovers, and we got to the last 6 minutes of the game, and he couldn't play in it, right? Whether the moment was too big, whether he was rattled or frazzled. As dad, I wanted him to be in that smoke so bad, but it wasn't the right situation for our team, right? And so my message to him is, I want you to play there, but you've got to be able to be there. Your teammates have to be able to trust you. I have to be able to trust you. So I have to pull him out in those situations, even though I want him to be in there. And the reason why I'm okay doing that for 2 reasons, because there's a life lesson that he has to learn, that he has to earn. And I can put him in so many situations in life because of my relationships, my influence, my opportunity. But at the end of the day, he's got to do his own push-ups, right?
Yeah.
And so I wanted him to take away from that going, hey, buddy, did you want to be in the last few minutes? Yeah, I wanted you to be in there too. But you're going to have to do some more work, and you're going to have to develop some more. And here's what that also does is for my parents, like, they could say anything they want, but we'll just go back to the film and look at the data and show, man, he was not in those situations. So I think that's why I've tried to handle it that way. And man, I so want him to be in that. But I also realize going in his role in his development, he plays on different teams. He has different roles. And just a side nugget for all parents, there's a potential for your kid to play on 3 teams that I recommend. Okay. One is the team that he is the man, or if you have a daughter, it's like she is her, and they're going to score 20 points a game. And if they don't, their team is going to lose. Like, they need to understand what it means to carry a team.
Yeah.
There's the one that, like, they're a good, solid role player on. They're getting good minutes, they're contributing, and they're playing. And then there's the one that, like, it's a stretch for them, right? And they may spend more time on the bench than they do on the court. And all 3 of those have a place in their life. And so Braden played on our Phenoms team, and for the most part, he was our 7-8 guy. In some tournaments, guys get in foul trouble, somebody's not there, he ends up starting, playing a lot of more minutes, great. But he's a 7-8 guy. And I think it really took a toll on his confidence throughout the year. And you saw him get more and more passive and defer more and more because we had the number 1 player in the country on our team. We had another top 5 kid on our team. And so he got really passive. So after our AAU season, I put him on a team that they were not good, but I needed him to learn how to go kill.
Yeah.
Because he just was not having that. And it was a struggle. And he's playing against a team that he's so much better than everybody else. In the first 2 games, he had like 4 points and 8 points. And I'm like, this is terrible. Like, you can't be that. It took him about 4 or 5 more games, and he started scoring 20 a game, 20 a game, 28. Like, he started getting to that point, right? So that was a good learning experience. But for the parents out there, understand every team is not that way.
Yeah.
So when I'm building our national team with 8 to 10 top players in the country from all over, like, I have to tell parents all the time, if you want your kid to score 20 points, this is not a team for them. You got to be okay with any given game that your kid scores 4 points and takes 4 shots and sits on the bench.
Well, and that's one thing. I follow you guys on your socials, And it's interesting because for me as a trainer, one thing I hate is the zero step, and this is the travel, is it not? And then I also don't like the guys going on 1-on-5. They squeak the shot up and they go in. But one thing I've really appreciated about your social media is you guys compliment all 5 touches.
Yep.
Look at, we're playing on all 3 thirds. Look at this. We share the ball, and every highlight that you've shown has been a good quality shot.
Yeah.
And it's about playing the right way.
And that's what our preaching is hey, we're gonna play the right way. You're a team of all-stars, so you all can play. Now we do have one kid, Sauce Thomas. He's ranked #1 in the country. Like, that kid is elite. And just like if Anthony Edwards or Tyrese or one of these guys in the league, they're going to take some what you would almost call ill-advised shots because they can and they make them.
Yeah.
But by and large, it's really a team concept of understanding make the right play. We just came back from the T3 camp, which is like an exposure camp, and it's like everybody showboating. The team I coached there was the most unselfish team, and I got them to buy into, at a camp, mind you, make the extra pass because everybody will get more shots and more buckets.
And more assists.
And it was a fun experience because they still learned how to play a very unselfish ball. And that's something that's true to me and how I grew up playing and how I think the game should be played. And I'm unwilling to sacrifice that.
It makes sense. It does make sense. And I love to hear that because at some point in time, even the #1 player in the nation, at some point in time, they're going to hit that roadblock.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're keeping up with Cooper Flagg.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard about that? What he said this last week? Mm-mm. He says, these are the most games I've ever lost in my career. He's I think he's 12-4 or something, or 4-12 or something like that. And again, it may have taken him to the NBA, and everyone's like, well, he's going to be the man in high school. Okay. What happens if you're blessed enough to go to college? Well, you're not going to always be the man. That's 1% to be blessed in high school, 1% to be blessed in college. Even if you go to the NBA, LeBron's rookie year, he got his butt handed to him.
Yeah.
He was good, but you're going to have to experience that failure of being a team player and learning a different role. Cooper Flagg is learning a different role than he is right now, and it's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that, but the fact that you're willing to put your son, because eventually your son's going to be a freshman in high school, and he's going to sit the bench as a freshman in high school unless you're just ultra talented. But you're
but you're possibly very possible.
But now he knows how to set the bench and do it in a manner where it's not just, oh, it's going to be, hey, you know what, I'm on the bench, but I know how to be an active participant. Yeah. I've been here before.
Yeah, one of the things that I stress with our team and I'm doing with my son, and I recommend for people to really think about this, is the basketball IQ side of this. And I say this because I have a kid that's not uber talented, or I should say athletic. He's not the best run jump. It's not in his hopefully he's in a DA. And it's just not developed yet, but that's just not his game right now, right? And so I'm like, all right, I'm teaching him, here's how you got to impact the game. And number one thing that I value as a coach, and every coach is different, but I value first and foremost, do you know what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to go? If you don't, man, it's hard to play for me, right? Some people just, hey, if you can shoot, I don't care. You can do this. That's where I start. And so a couple things that I do with him. Number one, we watch film. And he's in a space of learning how to go from just watching a game to watching film, seeing what he did well, what he didn't do, but seeing what should have happened with everything else. Really watching the game. And then also watching some of his favorite players and seeing how are they attacking the game. Right now, we go into this season where I'm coaching a school team. I'm like, listen, you're the Braden Smith role.
Yeah,
that's what you get to be on this team. You're the one, and you've got. So we're just watching so much of Braden Smith stuff, breaking down how does he screen roll, how does he get that pass, how does he fake up and drop that dime. So we're watching a lot of film. Second thing is we do a lot of whiteboarding, plays, right? So I give him out of bounds. He has to do it. Flip it to the other side. Switch these different roles, positions. He has to know all of our plays, all of our out of bounds stuff. But I'm teaching that to him, and here's what it does for kids. It gives them a confidence to go out there and know where they're supposed to line up, what they're supposed to do. They may not be able to shoot it well, may not be able to pass it well, they may not even execute it.
Yeah.
But they have an ability to know it. And I think that's one of the things that has really helped Braden really develop in an area of confidence where he struggles overall. I like that for him, and I like that for every kid.
And it's funny, just to go back all the way back to the very beginning, and this is the foundation that people need to understand. Because what people like to do is they like to skip around, they like to skip steps. You skip the podcast, you jump in right here, you're like, oh my God, I want my son to be that way. So you start whiteboarding with him. Your son loves it. It has to start with the love. If your son doesn't love it, then this is all for nothing.
I will say this, because I think there's a phrase out there that I don't like that people use. for young kids. And they say, I can't want it more than he does. Now, the reason why I have a challenge with that is because I don't think that they can love it at that level because they don't know what it really takes yet. Think about it this way. You said your son's 8.
Yeah.
I don't know about yours, but if I don't make my kid brush his teeth, he ain't brushing them.
That's fair. Yeah.
If I don't make him eat his vegetables, he's not eating them. And if I give him saying, hey, if you don't want to go to school or not go to school, he ain't going. Right? So my context for this is I believe at this age, what we have to teach our kids is the right structure to succeed.
Yes.
And so that means we do have to show them what training looks like, group training looks like, push-ups, sit-ups. You know, part of our routine in the morning is Brady and I get up, we do 25 push-ups together, we do 25 squats together, and we do 25 forearm shots against the wall every single morning, right? He wasn't going to come up with that on his own.
Yeah.
I had to give him those parameters to do that. We're doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're doing at our house box jumps, ladders, things like. He wasn't just going to do that. And my point to it is I agree. If you have a middle school kid, a high school kid, and you're still trying to fight them to brush their teeth, you got issues.
Yeah.
You still got to get them to go to the gym and work out. You're going to have issues. But at 9, 10, 11, 12, I believe we have to give them the structure and show them what it will take to succeed and push them through it. And then, yes, there comes a point in time where you have to decide, is it for them and are they willing to do it?
Yeah. It's interesting because I train my son. My son comes in here and trains with me. Don't force him. It's one of those, obviously, do you want to do it? I'm not in the mood today. Yeah, you're going.
Yeah.
If you're like, no, Dad, I don't want to play basketball. There are different levels of quit. There's I need a break.
Yep.
My son did a ninja class when he was younger, and we always maintain that whatever you do, you're going to commit. There was no off season, so we didn't have a chance to really I'm over it, Dad. I don't want to do it anymore. The best he could.
Yeah.
Which was no. After multiple weeks in a row, but we listened to it. So with him having these conversations of training with me, we have a Dr. Dish outside, and I trained him.
What up, Dr. Dish?
I told you guys I'd rep it. No, they would shoot, or he would train with me, and then he comes over and he goes, "Hey, Dad, can I use this?" And I'm like, "What do you want to do with it?" He goes, "I want to shoot some more." And so he ended up shooting for 30 minutes by himself.
Yeah.
Like, and at this age, at 8 years old, I always harp on it. Just let the kids have fun.
Yeah.
Like, don't. My kid shot 30 minutes and made 3 shots. And I was happy with him, and everyone that he made, I heard, but it was one of those being proud of like the performance. I'm more proud of the performance than I am the results.
Yeah, and I really think that when I talk to my parents in the beginning of all seasons, I can tell them all the things I want to accomplish, but the last one is I want them to have a good enough experience that they wanted to do it again next year.
Yes,
because all of us are just trying to keep our kid in for one more year to develop, to grow, to get better, to figure out if this is their thing, or not. But if they have a really bad experience, man, it's really hard to get them to come back. And so I try to protect that overall experience.
That's important.
And trying to show them what is possible. Because the truth is I don't care how good your kid is at 10 years old, you still have no idea where he's going to be when he's 18. And that's both ways.
Yeah.
I don't care how bad he is. Because we can show you all kind of kids that couldn't walk and chew gum at 10, and now they're in the league.
Joel Embiid.
Right? And so I think that's kind of the thing that I keep trying to realize. Now, the issue is we want them to be that now. And I'm no different. Like, I want my kid to show up into an AAU gym right now, and everybody's like that kid can hoop, right? So we do want that. But ultimately, it's like, I just want to create a good enough experience that he comes back next year and does it again.
That he wants to.
Yep.
And it's interesting because the relationship that you have with those kids are very important. I'm very hard on the kids I coach. I know that you and I ran to each other, but
yeah.
I don't know if you're watching, but I'm very hard on the kids. My expectations are here, and you're going to meet my expectations, or you're coming out. We don't argue with the refs. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I bench at the coach. I'm like, come on out.
Yeah.
And everyone's, but it's if you build that relationship, and when you raise your voice at the kid, they genuinely know, oh, he's yelling at me because he cares. You can say a lot to the kid. Yeah. In a good way. I
had a kid last night at practice, the same thing. I had to get on him, and he started to. I could see it like in his eyes. I'm like, listen, you want to be a great player. Is that correct? Yes. Then you're going to have to take coaching from a coach like me. You're going to have to listen, and you have to look at me and say, you know what, I did mess it up, but next time I'm not. Hey, I'm coming. Like, I think we have to do so much in teaching them when we're yelling. high voice, intense game situations. Like these kids have to be taught how to do most everything. And that doesn't stop because it's basketball, right? That's just life. And that's what, I think the role that I have as a coach, that I'm blessed with an opportunity to coach a lot of kids and on several different teams. And I love it. I love the opportunity. And my people say, why is it so important to you? I'm like, well, because number one, without sports, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Sports saved my life. Now my kid's in a different situation than I was as far as raised, and if he doesn't play sports, it's probably he's going to be okay. He's going to have opportunities. That's not my story, right? Sports saved my life, so I have a sense of like, well, how could I give back? And then how I could look between the lines and say, these are the things that I didn't have. So how could I give that to my son first and foremost? Let's be honest, and all the other ones that are attached to teams that we play in situations. So that's what's driving me at this point in time, and I'm loving it.
I love it, man. You mentioned that you wanted to hit some certain points. What are the other points that you wanted to hit on?
Well, the couple that I really wanted to make sure was understanding the fact that when your kid chooses a level, and I think you have to have that conversation, you got to say you got to choose what level that you want to be at, and then you hold them accountable to whatever that level is. And then I think the one that I just kind of laid out a second ago, that every kid is going to figure out that I say I want to go here, but my work ethic is here. And we have to teach them how to get there and hold them accountable and actually make them, I'm putting air quotes, make them do some things that they don't want to do so they can build it up long enough to see the results, because that's that's something that's important. I think the last one is through this AAU stuff, and last year was a very good year for us to. We played in North Carolina, we played in Raleigh, we played in Kansas City, we played in Orlando and Miami, Florida, Cincinnati. We traveled and we got a chance to see all these different kids that competing at different levels. And what I come to realize is that, man, this is a journey. And as much as we all look forward to the end result of the journey, I think as parents, if we don't learn to love the process and the time and the failure, it's going to be a rough journey. Versus it could be an enjoyable one, just going, my kid is on a path that, for me personally, believes that God is ordaining anyway. I'm just here to help facilitate and get them to wherever God's trying to have them go, and just love that process.
It's interesting because you said, and this is what popped in my mind when you said it, the destination, which is ultimately death. So it's like, are we enjoying, and I mean, in high school, my high school team, we fought, we were young, but we got our butt handed to us sometimes, but I still talk to those guys till this day. I still talk to Dre, I still talk to Maddox, and I'm 43 years old, but we have a group text going. It pops off about once every 3 months. Somebody will say something. We all just start making fun of each other.
Yep.
Hey, who clogged the toilet at Florida State? And it's one of those, we still have that genuine brotherhood that we still care about each other. Yeah. My best man in my wedding, Matt, he was my point guard. But you just can't replace those camaraderies that you have. There was something you said, I think it was your third point, about teaching the kids. And it's interesting because I remember being out of high school and this young player just kept getting ripped by the head coach. Just kept getting ripped. And I stepped back and I started studying. I'm like, why is this kid getting ripped? And it was because the kid never gave any response. Not good, bad. He just looked at the coach like this. And eventually I pulled him aside. I'm like, hey man, why does coach keep going off? And he goes, I don't know. It's like, because you don't give him a response. Just hit me up. Give him a yes, sir. And when you get ripped, just say yes, sir. And you don't have to be rude. And the rippings went down. But the coach took the blank stare as disrespect, or I'm not processing. And so I had to teach that young player, this is how you handle someone talking to you. Yeah. But also, I had a group of girls last night. I played them, and I said, hey, when you came off the pick and roll, you weren't looking aggressive. I was able to jam this up. I guarded both of you. I shouldn't be able to do that. And as I started talking to them, the bilingual started getting, and the shoulders started getting down. And eventually, at the end of it, I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know, I still respect you. I still care about you. And I didn't say anything malicious. I just have to be able to point these things out, and I have to teach them how to take me pointing something out and saying, you didn't turn this pick and roll hard enough. You didn't force me to guard you. That's why you didn't score. It's not personal. I don't think you're less of a person, but I have to teach them how to take criticism, which I don't think we do as parents. We just, I'm going to say what you got to say. You got to deal with it. It's like, this is how you handle it. So
yeah, I think that's important too. Last thing I'll say, I know we're almost out of time, but is one of the transitions that we're making too now is, what does recovery look like?
Yes.
And nutrition look like? And, non-basketball skill development look like? I think some kids just naturally have that athleticism. Some kids you're going to have to develop that in. And so what parents have to understand is if we have 2 practices a week and you're not doing anything on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with your kid, like they're going to get behind. And maybe that's okay. Like there's kids right now in 4th grade that are started the homeschool and they're trained 3 times a day. My kid is not there. That's too much for him. That's not where he is in his development. No shade to the people that are doing that. But like the reps are important and getting them the right nutrition, the right recovery, and the right other type of training, flexibility, mobility. Because if you watch some of these NBA guys now, you see how much they're working on those things, which I never did.
Oh, it wasn't
ever, right? And so now I'm looking at this going, I'm trying to learn that piece of the game. Like, how do we work on those things? So that's the other thing I'd say for parents. Start tapping into that and figuring out how you can do those things too.
I got one last question for you, and then we're done, okay?
I'm good.
You wake up tomorrow, you're the commissioner of American basketball. You can pass one rule. Everybody has to do it. One of our good friends said that every program should have a function and strengthening coach. That's what you just talked about. One person said a 4-point line. I had a person that said swishes are 4 points. I've had one person that would ban pick and rolls. I had one person that would ban. What would be your rule and why? And it has to go through. I mean, you could target the grassroots, you could target the NBA, but what would that be?
I think the rule has to be somewhere around mental health resources and requirements. I just think that from age 10, 9, 8, you see parents yelling, screaming, hollering, coaches yelling, screaming, hollering. And the truth is, many of them are with the best intentions. But I don't think we've given our kids much coping skills and mechanisms to understand how to deal with that. And then you add on social media. And so now kid gets crossed over and now they're on social media. Or they have all the posts. And even if your kid doesn't have social media, it doesn't mean it's not out there if they're starting to play the game at a certain level. And so I would love to see, we mandate practices and training and certain things. Like I think there has to be mental health resources and development for kids, because I think that ultimately, as most of the commercials out there say, is, very little kids go pro in basketball.
Yeah.
But they go pro in everything else. And I think that having the mental health resources to be able to cope with challenging situations, to be able to deal with the failure, to be able to integrate with all of your teammates, to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and go, I suck today, and I'm still a good person. And I think those are very, very, very essential. And I just don't think people are taking the time and investing it to do that. I think it has to come from the top, and it has to work all the way down.
That's amazing. I love it. Travis, you did phenomenal. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, or if this is your first time checking in, I would highly recommend that you listen to this two times. Come back with a notebook, because he said a lot of amazing things. If you're a parent, if you're a player listening to this and you think your parents should listen to this, he hit a lot of nails on the head, and he is 100% right on a lot of things he said. We appreciate you, man. You said a lot of good things.
Thanks.
Share, like, comment. If you don't agree with something we said, put it in the comments. Let us know. I have him back on and we'll have an argument about it. But you did amazing. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks.